What happens when a Canadian student moves to the United States? Well, that's sort of the thing that happened to me about 6 to 7 years ago. I first started school in Canada, and one thing that was very prominent in Canadian schools was that most of them were bilingual, meaning that 2 languages were spoken and taught at school, English and French. This was because Canada was a nation of allied British and French provinces, and when they became a nation, they decided to make both languages of their imperial leaders the 2 national languages of the country. This is why in most schools, parents were given the choice to put their children into either English or French classes. For me, my parents weren't French and didn't see the use of French in daily society, since our province was English-based. So I was in an English class while my friend, whose family knew a bit of French, was in a French class. That was one key difference when I moved to the States. Everybody learned things in English while language classes were mandatory, so that kids would become bilingual, which made it so that society overall in the US wasn't bilingual since they only spoke other languages in one class. Another key difference was that we sang the national anthem every day in elementary school before starting class, and this was one of the things that messed with my brain a lot when I moved to the States. On the first day of 5th grade, the grade I moved to the States in, my class started saying a bunch of words while putting their hands to their hearts and facing the flag, so with my knowledge of what I was used to in Canada, I assumed they were singing the national anthem. The ironic thing is they were just saying words, not singing them, but I thought the national anthem of the US was just spoken instead of singing at the time. Now when everybody around me started doing this, since I didn't know what they were saying, I just mouthed random words and acted like I was saying the national anthem with them. Then that night, I went on my computer and searched up the US national anthem, and it was a super long song, but I was determined to have it memorized by the next day. So, I did. I don't exactly remember if I was able to memorize the whole thing, but I know for sure I will be able to memorize some of it by the next day. That's why this time, when the students stood up and put their hands to their hearts while facing the flag, I was ready. But just as I was about to sing the first word to the national anthem, my jaw dropped. Everybody around me were saying completely different words than what I had memorized, so I was so confused on what was going on and why they weren't singing the national anthem like I used to in Canada. Only after a couple days did I learn that American students said the Pledge of Allegiance, a short and concise way to thank their country for their education rather than singing the whole anthem. Now, since I've been here for a while, I am used to the pledge and recognize that it is more convenient to say than sing a whole anthem, because singing a whole national anthem would take too much energy and time. However, back then, as a Canadian student that had just moved to the US, things could not be more confusing. So that's